who is a registered midwife, a blogger on maternal and child health, and founder of For Mom and Baby Foundation. She is passionate about ensuring midwives operate at their full potential and receive the training and support they need to remain in the profession and to prevent the high dropout that she is observing of midwives. Martha, as a young midwife leader in Cameroon, you know how important it is to have a strong health workforce that can really serve the community. You've also witnessed a decrease in the number of midwives in the profession, joining it and staying in the profession as well. So what do you think are the key drivers of low participation, and what accountability measures by leaders or organizations have been really effective in addressing it?
Thank you so much, Shona. It's such an honor to be seated here representing the voices of millions of health personnel, and particularly midwives, across the globe. And it just so happens that I'm dressed in women's deliver colors. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to begin by narrating the story of a young girl, of a young Cameroonian girl who was fresh from high school, and she got into university, and somehow she was very disoriented and spent 2 years wandering from department to department. And just at the moment where she decided to be serious, the only thing or the only profession that kept ringing in her mind was midwifery. And this made her to go into writing the entrance examination to study midwifery in the government university. And upon getting entrance, she realized that there was no one to actually guide her or to tell her what is expected of her in the field. And this caused her to be confused, but then she decided to take this bold step forward and decide to be a light in that field. And today, that young lady is sitting before you, and she's speaking to you today, and that's me. So, just like this young girl, one of the key drivers of low participation that midwives back in Cameroon, I'm going to use my country as a case in point, is the aspect of insufficient knowledge of the midwifery career. And this insufficient knowledge has caused thousands of midwives to drop out of the profession. Because, you know, it's important to have role models or people you can actually look up to, people that can guide you and tell you this is exactly the pathway to go when it comes to this profession and so on. Without that, it's so difficult to navigate it, and you find yourself stressing, and you find yourself unable to actually relate with other people who are talking so passionately about their profession. The second key driver of low participation is the low concentration of midwifery in government policy. Now, in 1987, the Cameroon government actually stopped the training of midwives because there was no financial, because of financial constraints, I'll say. But in 2011, with the help of UNFPA, organizations like UNFPA and GIZ, they were able to restart midwifery training of the training of midwives, and this went a long way to prevent maternal deaths. Because according to the State of the World Midwifery Report in 2021, it is clearly written that if midwives are trained, adequately trained, about 90% of maternal deaths will significantly drop. Another issue is the aspect of work overload. And in Cameroon, once again, the staffing ratio is 1:2,000 women. And we can imagine how outrageous that is. It's so stressing. And another aspect is high apathy towards midwifery associations. Yes, we have a Cameroon Midwives Association, but most times when we organize like conferences, not all midwives show up because they feel like their voices will not be heard, they feel like they are so small, they feel like whatever they say isn't going to be taken into consideration, and that's an issue. Well, however, there have been some strides which led to accountability measures, for example, to address the issue of insufficient midwifery career prospects. With the help of YML, that's the International Competition of Midwives, Young Midwife Leaders Program, I was able to organize a grand conference for student midwives to be able to orientate them, like reorientate them and tell them what there is in the profession, and for them not to be like me, not to make them, not to be disoriented as I was back then, but for them to have like a light, a pathway to follow. And then the Midwife Association back in Cameroon has been working on getting autonomy from the government for midwives to be autonomous and independent over quite some time now. Well, we are still following that up, and we are hopeful that it's going to be positive. And another thing, to reduce apathy, we keep encouraging more and more midwives to partake in conferences, to partake in any gathering that has to do with midwives, just so to boost their confidence, to boost their passion in the profession. And lastly, to address the issue of work overload, recently, back in 2021, the government actually put some measures in place to increase the number of midwives that are actually recruited into the profession from 100 to 150. It's quite small, but we are hopeful that with the advocacy we keep pushing for it, we are going to have many more of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think you being here today and you being a role model in your community is going to inspire also a next generation of midwives.
The three efficient tactics. And the first one is that I believe women are better ambassadors of women, and more decision-making roles should be put for women. Because if we have to look at it, I think WHO actually put up a paper recently, and it was stated that 80% of health workers are women. But if we have to look at it reasonably in our various countries, you'll see that majority of decision-making roles are not held by women. I mean, the women are just down there doing the groundwork, but up there, there's supposed to be a level of equity, and I believe that's why we are here. And the second is that professional associations and syndicates need to partner together. We have to avoid duplication of efforts. We need to work together to ensure that a lot is put in place to ensure that health workers are united, health workers are synced together, and together we can speak in one voice. And the last one is invest in midwives. Yes, I'm a midwife and I'm going to loud my voice as much as I can. Invest in midwives, because if governments and organizations invested in midwifery, there is no other workforce that can make the amount of difference to outcomes for women and children. Because another paper, I love reading a lot, I read a lot of articles, so a recent paper, I think on the 23rd of February 2023, WHO released a paper saying majority of women die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth issues. And who else except aside midwives can fight against this? So it is very important to invest in midwives, and ICM is doing a great job doing that. I mean, I run a grassroots organization back in Cameroon, and we're doing the best we can to ensure that women have the best healthcare they can get. And I call on all funders, every person present in this room, to advocate for the strength of midwives and the healthcare system as a whole. Thank you.
What do you think? What do you think about all these ideas?
First of all, let's give it up once again for Group 3 and Group 4. Amazing points, really, amazing points. For Group 3, I'll say the points were really amazing, and there indeed are many well-known benefits of digitization, like increased efficiency, easier collaboration, enhanced accessibility, and even accountability, which we are all gathered here to talk about. And when it comes to community health workers, they are very pivotal to a change in the healthcare system. They inspire positive behavior change and collective action. They equally help to identify and educate at-risk populations. And I wouldn't end on Group 3 without talking about the great work one of my friends and sisters, Nepsi Lebaga, is doing back in Cameroon on community health workers. She's doing exceptionally well in raising their importance in the community. Now on Group 4, of course, togetherness is very important. It's important to speak in one voice and avoid duplicated efforts again, like I had mentioned. And secondly, active use of evidence or data is very important, because at the end of the day, we'll have to report, we'll have to account. So when we can use data, it's easy to compare the impact we've had. So thank you very much. Incredible work. Thank you.